Hey y'all, hey. I am 2 hours and almost 30 minutes late. I fell asleep and my alarm didn't go off. But I'm here now. Okay, so welcome to Let's Make It Make Sense. This is episode 1 of season 2, and I'm so happy to be back here with you guys. Okay. Today's topic is going to be crazy, okay? So I picked one that I didn't think people would care too much about, but I think it's going to be one that's going to hold you here. Now, mind you guys, I normally do my podcast from upstairs, but my house is freezing and I can't get that room to heat up, and I refuse to freeze to death for an hour while I'm talking to you. So we're going to do it in this setting instead. All right. Back to what I was saying. So the title of this discussion might just be what keeps you here, okay? So the title of this is going to be The Pain of Expecting Yourself from Others. In other words, stop expecting you out of other people, okay? Yo, it's a doozy for the first one of the year, right? Okay. So, because for real, let's talk about something here. This hurts, okay? But it's only because it's true. At some point in your life, you will have to learn this lesson, and you're going to learn it the hard way. You have to stop expecting you out of other people. Stop expecting your heart, your loyalty, your self-awareness, your consistency, your emotional depth. Because what hurts most isn't what people do to us, it's what we expect them not to do. And today, we're going to be unpacking why that expectation exists, why it keeps breaking us, and how letting it go can change everything. Excuse me, you guys. I got a little bit of a cough. The weather where I'm at is really bad, but we're gonna thug this out, okay? So, why you're expecting others to be like you is the question. Like, why do I expect people to be like me? Here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. We all expect ourselves out of other people, because we assume our way of loving is considered normal. Let me explain something to you. If you are a thoughtful person, you think thoughtfulness is basic. You think that's what other people are supposed to do. If you communicate and you're good at communication, you think communication is common. If you're a loyal person, then you expect other people to know that loyalty is like a default mode. Like, it's just a way you're supposed to be. But it's not. It's not. It's not. Your behavior is shaped by your upbringing, your trauma, your values, your healing, and your levels of self-awareness. However, not everyone has done the same internal work that you have done. Some people survived by shutting down, some people by taking, and some people by avoiding responsibility. So when you're giving freely and they give sparingly, it feels personal, and it's not always intentional, but it is what happens. Like, you can't just keep expecting people to be as emotionally intelligent as you are. And it hurts at times, especially when it's somebody that you kind of invested time and energy in. But we're going to get there because we just started this. Okay, so let me name the real issues here. Projection versus connection. So, like, projection is when you assume somebody thinks loves or process emotions the same way that you do without confirming it. You're not seeing them. You're seeing yourself in their body. So let me explain something to you that is very dangerous. Because your explanation, you explain away their red flags. You excuse inconsistency. You fill in emotional gaps for them. You love their potential, not their patterns, babe. And when they disappoint you, you feel betrayed by expectations they never agreed to meet. This is some, if I showed you once, I showed you twice, you knew I wasn't going to do what you wanted me to do. But you tried to, you gaslit your own self into believing that somebody was going to change. This is some real action speaks louder than words situations. You know, when you're expecting the you out of somebody, like, I'm the type of person that if I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So if you call me, okay, let's say you call me on Monday and you're like, hey, I'm going through such and such XYZ. Hey, Frank, can you help me out? And I'm like, girl, I get paid on Thursday. I got you. I'll send it over. On Thursday, as soon as that money hit my account, I'm going to send it to you. My actions speak for my words. They match my words. I said I was going to do something, and I did it. And then somebody else, somebody that you love or you care about, you call them when you're in a time of need. And they say, yeah, I might be able to get you on Friday. And then Friday comes, and then they stop answering the phone. You understand? You see the difference? They don't want to answer the phone because their actions don't match their words. They want to believe that they have the potential to help you, but they're really not going to. They're not going to, and they don't care to. Okay? So we're going to talk about the strong friend syndrome because that's a real thing too. Like, that's part of being one of the strong ones. Like, the emotional, intelligent ones, the listeners, the helpers. You are all of this. And the I'll figure it out myself people. Yeah. You're the person that expects you out of other people. You expect yourself from other people because you've always had to be you. You learned early not to need too much, not to ask for help, not to fall apart publicly. So you assume others will show up the way you do, quietly, consistently, without being asked. But most people don't love like that, okay? They don't. They love when it's convenient. They show up when reminded. And they disappear when they are uncomfortable. And that the hardest realization is your strength taught people to underperform for you, okay? Now, this part kind of takes me out a little bit because you would think because I've showed up for so many people that there would actually be at least one decent human being in this entire world that would show up for me consistently. But it's not that way. When you're the strong friend that everybody else comes to, you kind of train people to ignore when something is wrong with you. And I don't think people do it intentionally. It's just like every time something goes wrong in your life, you tell them, I'm okay. I got it. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Is something wrong? No, I'm fine. That I'm fine statement right there, that's a big one. Because if you're always fine every time something goes on, and instead of telling somebody like, no, I'm not okay, I really need to talk right now, or I'm actually drowning in XYZ, then you can allow them an opportunity to actually move accordingly. But when you're constantly stuck in the I'm fine, everything's okay phase of your life, you're teaching people that you don't need them. Okay, so with all that, now let's be clear. Not everyone who loves you healthily, like in a healthy manner. Some people love possessively, continually, selfishly, and consistently. They want access to you, not responsibility for you. So when you expect accountability, growth, communication, and emotional safety from someone who is not built for it, when you're asking them to operate on a level that they've never practiced, instead of admitting they're incapable, they'll call you too much. They'll say you're dramatic, accuse you of being an overthinker, when but wanting mutual effort is not asking for too much. And the problem is you're just asking the wrong people. And that was a big one for me. I had to realize that I had the wrong people in my life. I was giving my unconditional, genuine, truest love to people who did not deserve it at all. They didn't deserve a lick of it. A single piece. They didn't deserve none of it. This is where it kind of gets heavy, okay? And that's because expecting yourself from others often leads to self-betrayal. You stay longer than you should have, explain yourself too many times, shrink your needs, accept the bare minimum. This kind of makes me want to cry. All because you're hoping that they'll eventually meet you where you are. And the hard truth about that is someone doesn't need to be evil to be wrong to you. They don't have to be a terrible person to treat you poorly. They just need to be incapable of loving you the way that you require to be loved. And that's not your fault. But it is your responsibility to stop expecting anything differently from these people. There comes a point where you really have to take it on. Actions speak louder than words. When you're kind-hearted like me and a few other people I know, you tend to love the potential that someone has, rather than taking them for what they've shown you they are. So you believe that there is maybe a chance that someday, things will get better, when in all reality, they've shown you multiple times, numerous times, that they have no intention on showing you the same respect, love, loyalty that you show them. So what you have to do is come to a point where you no longer expect anything from these people. And I'm not saying that means that you have to let them go in a cold way, but I mean, you need to be very clear on who these people are. So stop assuming, over giving to these people, explaining yourself to them 1,000 times. You told them once and you meant it. They heard you when you said it. But they nah, I could play this off. You don't never change. You're so loyal to these people that they're it doesn't matter what I do to you. You're going to love me anyways. You're not going anywhere. There is a such thing as being too loyal to somebody. I genuinely believe that wholeheartedly. And hoping silently. You're going to have to tell these people, I call it an encounter. This is what you did. This is how it made me feel, and this is what I need from you. You're going to have to establish your boundaries with these people, and stand on business, baby. Because if you don't stand and you crumble, you're going to keep getting the bare minimum from them. So you gotta start observing their patterns. Pay attention to how they move and how they and believe their behavior. Believe it. Believe what they showed you they are. Please. And then honoring your limits. Like I said, establish your boundaries and stand on business, babe. And then choosing reciprocity. Because just because I'm sorry, there is somebody who it will be the you that you never had. There is somebody out there that will treat you the way you treat other people without being asked. You won't have to ask them to it. So choose reciprocity. Like, there are people. The biggest thing about expecting the you out of people is that you're expecting it out of the wrong people. Like, that one hit me in my chest. And you don't need people to change. You need to stop expecting them to be who they've shown you they are not. So like I said, people will show you exactly who they are, and it's up to you to decide on how you deal with that. Like, you can't just keep expecting people to be different than who they actually are. Like, so sorry, you guys. You gotta stop betraying yourself in this process. And that's a heavy one too. Because that is my paid actress. Because it's okay, so I was really trying not to cry while talking about this subject, because for me this hits home. So I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, and they asked me what was my purpose, why was I doing the things that I was doing, and like even about my podcast, why am I doing my podcast? And my answer was, because I want to be me to people, the me I didn't have for other people. And that's where this topic was chosen from, honestly, because this friend said to me, acquaintance said to me, that, well, that's your problem. You gotta stop expecting you out of other people. And I hadn't been thinking of it like that. You know, I hadn't been thinking of it like I was letting myself down because I believed in the potential that other people had, that I believed that people could change, that I believed that there was a chance that maybe, just maybe, the people I cared about actually did care about me. And a lot of times it doesn't mean that they don't care about you. They genuinely just don't have the capacity to treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. There are a lot of people in this world who choose to deflect and run from their problems rather than facing them head on. So whereas I took time to look at what I was feeling, how I was feeling it, where it stemmed from, I took time to heal. There are other people who don't take that time to heal at all. So when you come across unhealed people, and you fall in love with their potential to be better, they don't even see it. They don't see what you love about them. They don't understand what you love about them. And yet somehow you expect them to have the capacity to love you the way that you love them. A lot of times, being the person that loves that hard, that sees that potential, without even knowing it, you were sent there to show those people what love is. That's it. They were never meant to love you back that way. Never. It wasn't a part of the assignment. The assignment was just what it was. You going to show somebody what love is because you have the capacity to love that way. You're built for the loyalty. The problem is, right, that the person that is doing all the loving at times neglects themselves in the process. Because you love so hard. You keep giving chances. You keep being nice about it. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Don't do that. Just tell the truth to yourself and to them. And set your boundaries and stand on it. Ultimately, that is going to be what gets you to where you need to go next. So, like I said, stop expecting you from people who haven't done the work that you've done. Stop confusing your capacity with their intentions. Stop shrinking your needs to protect people from their own limitations. The right people won't need you to teach them how to love you. And when you finally stop expecting you from others, you'll stop being disappointed and you'll feel free. You know? I do feel like some people tend to let you down with this one. And ultimately, you're going to have to wake up at some point. Like, because some people didn't fail you accidentally, they failed you comfortably. And they benefited from your patience, your understanding, and your silence. And that's what sucks. So it's kind of uncomfortable to even say it out loud when you really think about it. A lot of people know you're deeper than them. They know you're emotionally aware. They know that you're forgiving. They know that they can try a lot of things and to understand instead of walking away. Like, you'll give them chance after chance after chance, and because they know that they take advantage, and that's shitty. They know you're they know you're going to stick around, and because you've proven to them, like, you'll explain yourself over and over again. You'll keep giving them grace. You'll stay even when you're hurting, and they stop trying. They stop trying. Like, they just Not because they hate you, but because you made it easy for them not to try. And like romantically, this is a kicker. Romantic disappointments hurt in a different way. Even when you expect someone to love you like you, consistently, like I said, emotionally safe, effort without reminder, communication without ultimatums, but instead you got excuses, emotional unavailability, hot and cold behavior. I don't know if it matters that much. What the this makes you want to cuss? Because what do you mean you didn't know it mattered that much? Like, and the wild part is they knew. They just didn't prioritize it when it came to you. And that, I think that was another, like, big eye-opener for me when the statement came across to me. Stop expecting the you out of other people. When you're expecting the you out of other people, in order for them to be able to match who you are, they have to prioritize you in some type of way. And if you are not a priority to them, it's going to show. It's absolutely going to show. And excuse me. Because expecting you from them meant expecting growth, and growth requires discomfort. A lot of people don't like being uncomfortable. Uncomfortability is what breeds growth, because ultimately you do want to be in a place where you are comfortable, mostly within yourself. So let's clear this up. Being low maintenance isn't a flex when it turns into emotional neglect. You taught people not to check in on you, not to show up consistently, not to worry about losing you, because you handled everything by yourself. Being low maintenance also means I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to ask you for too much. I'll just deal with it on my own. And people take advantage of that, even subconsciously. They might not even do it intentionally. But like I said before in this, you teach people how to treat you. And that's a hard pill for some people to swallow. You definitely teach people how to treat you. When you realize that they never intended to meet you there, like at that spot where you are for them, it'll probably be way too late. This realization will hit you like late in the middle of the night, when you've replayed your conversations with them. You notice the imbalance. You see how much emotional labor that you've been doing alone. And it finally clicks. And you're like, they weren't confused. They weren't unaware. They just weren't invested enough to show you what you were asking for, to give you what you needed. And that's going to hurt your feelings, because it's going to force you to grieve not just the person, but the version of them that you hoped for them to be. And this is where things shift. This is where we can start making some progress, just a little bit. Because at this point, you're going to stop convincing yourself. Stop explaining. Stop negotiating the basic respect that you deserve. And you'll realize effort shouldn't be begged for. Consistency shouldn't be taught. And care shouldn't be conditional. You'll stop expecting people to suddenly become emotionally fluent just because you are. And instead, you will choose people who already speak your language. who already understand how to do it, who do this naturally. Okay? So, how to move forward without losing your softness, because babe, at some point you got your feelings was hurt. This is part of the pattern, okay? And what you need to do is, because the goal isn't to be hardened, it's to discern. You don't stop being loving. You stop being available to people who drain you. You keep your softness, but you guard your access. And that's growth. And that was a hard one for me, because I don't let a whole lot of people in anyways. So when the three people that I let into my life showed me that I had to deny them access to me, that hurt my feelings, because I thought we were friends, and this is how we're doing things. Ew, that's ghetto. it's so it's if you've been wondering why you're tired, it's because you've been expecting emotional responsibility from people who benefit from avoiding it. Stop expecting you from people who refuse to do the work. Stop shrinking to maintain connections. Stop loving harder to make up for what's missing. And the right people won't need your silence to stay. And when you finally stop expecting you from other people, you make room for the people who already are. And there is so much more where I can feed off of this one. We could talk about the childhood, family dynamics, and how that's a big part about why you expect these things out of people. Or we could talk about how much work actually goes into not allowing this to continue to stab you. And honestly, I don't know if all of that's necessary. I think the point has been discussed. No, okay. We'll go into the family background just a little bit, okay? Because we take this behavior of expecting ourselves out of others into our relationships, into our friendships, into our business lives, when in all actuality it started at home. Because nobody just wakes up one day and wants to be an overgiver. Nobody randomly becomes emotionally self-sufficient. Nobody is born expecting themselves from other people. They learn this behavior. This behavior is learned. And most of us learn it early in environments from being emotionally aware. Wasn't praised. It was required. And this is, once again, excuse my language, this is a shitty situation to be in. Some kids were allowed to be kids. Others became observers. You noticed moods before words were spoken. You learned who to tiptoe around. You understood tension without explanations. So you adapted and you became emotionally intelligent, self-regarded, and independent early. This wasn't maturity. It was more of a survival thing. Okay. And with it being a survival thing, you are not. So, and now, okay, with it starting as a survival mode for you, now that you're an adult, you expect others to notice it the way that you do. And because you've been noticing it your entire life, it doesn't make sense for why other people wouldn't notice it. Like it doesn't make sense. But I mean, I've been this way my whole life. So excuse me if I expect another adult to have some form of emotional intelligence when they're dealing with me. But once again, not everybody was raised in a household where they had to be that way. So let's talk about something that people don't name enough. Parentification. When you had to emotionally support adults, keep the peace, be the strong one, carry responsibilities too early, you learned that love meant showing up for others, not being showed up for. So now when somebody doesn't meet your emotional needs, it feels confusing. Because in your world, love always requires effort. Then there's the whole golden child and black sheep mentality, and then like the invisible ones, like family roles shape your expectations. If you were the golden child, you learned love was conditional on performance. If you were the black sheep, you learned love was something you had to earn through understanding. If you were the invisible, you learned not to need much at all. All three grow into adults who are overgivers. Just in different ways, all three end up expecting emotional reciprocity from people who never learned how to give it. Yeah. And I will not cry before the end of this. Why you attract emotionally immature people, though, is because people are drawn to you because you're stable, you're patient, you explain instead of exploding, and you tolerate emotional gaps. You feel familiar to them because you remind them of someone who once carried them emotionally, but familiarity is not compatibility, and just because you can handle someone doesn't mean that you should. Healing doesn't start with other people. It starts by admitting, I've learned to be this way because I had to. It stops, like, you have to stop asking, why don't they? Yeah, why don't they show up for me like I do for them? And start asking, why do I stay when they don't? Why do I stick around? And you learn to reparent yourself, to meet your own needs, and to stop overextending in hopes of being chosen. And I know I said a whole lot in this time that I've been talking, but I feel like I kind of broke it down pretty good for you guys. And if you got any questions, feel free to DM me and ask me about it. This is where you got to start breaking the cycles, you know? You got to choose relationships where you're not the emotional teacher. You're not the translator. You're not the only one doing all of the work. Okay? You can't be the one who's doing all of the work. You let people be who they are and decide if they align with who you're becoming. That's not abandonment, babes. That's self-respect. It is okay to respect yourself and to stand up for you and to stop allowing other people to treat you like you are less than shit to them. You didn't become this way on accident. It definitely stems from the parents, from the parenting style that you received growing up. things that you witnessed, trauma that you had to go through. You've been in survival mode for a very long time, and it's okay. It's okay if you're now understanding that, if you now see that. However, you don't have to stay this way. You became this way because you had to survive, yes. But survival patterns don't have to become lifelong expectations. And you can stop expecting you from people who never have learned what you've learned. You can still be kind. You can still be loving. You can still be the deep person that you are and help people through. Just not at the expense of losing yourself. And that's how you end these patterns. And I think that was like part of, like, I'm telling y'all, I've had a long couple weeks. But that was like the big one for me. I have to stop expecting people to love me the way that I love, to be loyal the way that I'm loyal, to see things the way that I see it. Not everybody is emotionally intelligent enough to even have half the sense of brain that I have, and I have to stop expecting me out of other people. And that hurt my feelings, because having to grieve people who are still alive on this earth sucks worse than losing someone that you loved. And then you have to set your boundaries, and you got to stand on business. And sometimes standing on business is fine when it's with people that you're mad at or you don't like. But when it's someone that you care about and you really don't want to cut out your life, but if you don't, you risk losing you, that shit hurt. Yeah, that shit hurt. So, with all this being said, I just want to reiterate just a few things before we go, okay? And this goes back to the very first set of points that I talked about with you guys. All right. So stop expecting you from people who have not done the work that you have done. Stop confusing your capacity with their intentions. Stop shrinking your needs to protect people from their own limitations. And understand that the right people won't need you to teach them how to love you. And I'm just over here waiting for the right people at this point. I definitely felt like this was something that needed to be discussed, because I've come across so many people in the last few months who tend to do the same thing that I do, and they expect themselves out of the people that are around them, and then they wonder why they're hurt and they're feeling like they're being dragged down. The problem is that these people aren't emotionally intelligent enough to love you the way that you deserve to be loved. So if you're listening and this conversation struck you in the chord and you was like, yeah, I felt that, she right a little bit, then thank you for listening. If you have an idea for what our episode 2 for season 2 should be, feel free to DM me and let me know. I will be back on Friday at 9 p.m. and I'll be on time this time. And I'll be in the cold room with the whole setup. All right. It was a pleasure being here with you guys. I love you. Thanks for tuning in this week. And I'll catch you next time on Let's Make It Make Sense with Making It Make Sense. Peace. Bye-byes.